So far, we don't have any, at least the last 3 weeks, I think we don't have any technical difficulty. Everything seems to be working on the recording on both sides. So you should be able to review the lecture whenever it's convenient to you. Any case, first of all, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this class. This is the last day of the class. It is important for you to finishing up all the assignments and discussions that we have remaining. Okay, the last day you can submit anything is tomorrow, the 28th. Okay, after that you will not and I will not accept any late assignment. So you must submit anything you have, even you have not finished it. Submit what you have so far. At least I can give you some partial credit, because if you don't submit anything, I cannot give you any credit at all. So it will be 0 for that particular assignment. So whatever you have, just submit it. At least I give you some credit for the amount of effort and work that you have on that assignment. So please do that by end of tomorrow. And hopefully, I just talked to the administration. I have this weekend to complete the final grade. So by Monday morning, I assume you will be able to review your grade for this class. Okay? Let me see who else joined. Just by myself, but the camera and the speaker are both working and the recording is still good. So let me go ahead and go to full screen mode. Okay, then we look at the schedule and the material to be covered today and try to wrap up this class. Okay, give me 1 second to go to full screen mode. Okay, now I'm on full screen mode. Seems to be working, and no one else joined yet. And the conference still good. And make sure YouTube recording is still good. Okay, we are good to go. So, as I said earlier, if you look at our calendar in Canvas, you know there are a couple more things you need to complete by end of this week. So don't miss it, and whatever you could submit for late assignment, please do, and I'll give you partial credit even if you have not completed that. Okay, please do so. Take a look on our module. We don't have much left. We went over the rollover and slideshow and do some show and tell last time also on those. We will cover the pop-up windows and frames today. And we already covered slideshow and also the event, so we don't need to cover those two today. So we don't have a lot to cover, and there's no assignment I need to go over today neither, because really this is the end of the quarter. You should have started working on those assignments already, and I did walk through, at least help you out a little bit on the assignment 4.2 and also 5.1. And the remaining one is assignment 5.2 is the final report, and we briefly touch base on it, write a couple page on what you have learned here and what you expect to do with JavaScript, and that's all. Okay, and let me see, and that will close out our course for today. I thought there is a survey. Yeah, if you have not done that survey, please do so. Okay, there's no grade to the survey. However, you have to finish the survey in order to view your final results, I think. Okay, even it's not graded, but if you do not complete it, you will not be able to access the final course. Okay, so you must complete the survey. Please do that. Okay. and back to our module, and that should be it, other than for you to complete all the assignment for this class. This one is not included, so that's why it's not green, so don't worry about that one. But the other is already in your module and calendar, so you should be able to finish them, okay, and by tomorrow. Okay, no one else joined yet. Let's begin the last lecture of this class. First, I think I mentioned it last time, this particular module includes chapter 4, 5, and 6. Okay, all three chapters. Chapter 4, working with images, we did the rollover and slideshows last time. And chapter 6, for form handling, we have done that a couple weeks ago. I think we did quite a lot on form handling. How to do on submit, how to do mouse, how to do drag drop. Okay, so you already learned that. Today we'll cover windows and frames. We are not going to cover all sections, but you should, if you want to learn more about it, read all sections and go over the examples they provide. But we'll do a few of them, just walk over the examples and explain what they do on that particular code, and so we can understand better how frames and windows work. That's our plan. Okay, and as I said earlier, we do not have any assignment demo to go over today since this is the last lecture. So but however, if you do have any question the next couple days, please shoot me an email or raise a question in the discussion forum, so we can, or I can respond to you. Okay, that's our plan for today. So today's lecture should not take too much, maybe an hour. We should be able to finish everything we have, and then I let you have more time to work on your assignments. Okay. Okay, before we move on, let's double check, make sure. Okay, no one else joined, but everything else working, so that's good. Okay, let's start. So, the first thing I want to point out when you read the book is, talk about windows. You know what window is? That basically is what you have on your particular display, that particular HTML or frame that you display your HTML. So they are almost the same thing. Frame itself, as said here, is just like another document window. Okay, so really, frame itself is almost obsolete, and in fact, they have been removed from the HTML5 entirely. So you do not define frame or use frame anymore. Okay, the window itself is the whole frame. Okay, so of course you can set up different division within the window. Okay, so frame itself is not very useful anymore. However, today we'll cover another one called iframe, internal frame. Okay, so we'll talk about internal frame, which is quite useful. It's just like another window within your window. Okay, like a dual window. Okay, like you remember in the old days we have TV, picture in picture. So that's what it is, picture in picture. It's a window in a window. That's iframe. Okay, we'll talk about that and how to use it, and how to use JavaScript to manipulate iframe content. That is more useful than the frame itself, because the frame itself just means the window. Okay, slightly different but almost the same thing. So it's more important to talk about iframe, which you can have a window within your window to display specific things as you need, which you do see in some websites, which they have. Okay. Before we move on, I need to start up, which I forgot, the Eclipse, since I already preload the programs in the book into Eclipse, so we can go over them and look at the effect they have. Okay, iframes. Okay, so let's go ahead and start it. So that said, let's go to setting up a target. What does that mean? We can create an iframe within your HTML, like here. Okay, and set up, of course, the ID and a default HTML file to display inside the iframe in your HTML. Then we can manipulate it. What it is, let me show you. This is the exact same program as in the book, except of course I changed the file names. Okay, that's all. So this is what's going to display. You have a basic HTML file with an iframe, like a small window, picture in picture, within your window. Okay, the default is iframe 00, which is just like a sentence. Please lower page. Okay, then for all the links I have, okay, you look at the JavaScript. What it does is go over your HTML file. Depends how many links you have. In this case, we have three links, right? And we go over that number of links we have and cycle through and set up each of the links target where to be I content. Okay, I content, which is the iframe, right? So basically you find your links, and on each of them you set the target where the data go to the iframe within this HTML. Okay, in fact it's the iframe here because it's not the ID, it's the name. We use DOM. Okay, so you use the dot notation DOM. So the target is the iframe. What does that mean? So that means when you click on those links, it will change. It will display whatever you have onto the target, which is the first page. It's a dummy page, and then another dummy page, page number 2, and page number 3. So basically when you click, it will display whatever you say onto that target I content based on the JavaScript. So all we did was to initiate the page. We set up all the target to be on the iframe I content, and then whenever you click on it, it will send the information, which is the page information, onto the frame instead of putting it here or going to the page. Normally, when you click on this link, it will switch to the other page. But since we have set the target to be on this iframe named iContent, so when you click on it, the HTML page will be displayed on this frame, just like another window. So it's a picture-in-picture type, window in a window. That's iframe. Sometimes quite useful, particularly when you want to highlight showing things. So whenever they select a specific item, you can display the information on a specialized content, okay, as an HTML, not just a picture. Okay, you can manipulate or display, or even imagine even go into other websites. All you have to do is put in the full path for the HTML from other sites like google.com, then it will be displayed here within that small iframe window, whatever you define. So for this particular one, I think in the CSS file you define it this size. So you use the CSS to define where you put, okay, and the size of this iframe. I didn't show it to you, but that's in the book. Let me see. Yep. Yep. That's in the book. So the size and flow to the right. Oops. That's why it's here. Okay, size is 350 by 300. Okay, and flow to the right. So that's your iframe window. Okay, as simple as that, you could then define a special display within your HTML to highlight or showing other content. Okay, so quite useful. Now, we know how to set the target. Of course, we don't want to just do that to link to a different page. Okay, we also want to manipulate or be able to change things within this iframe display window. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, so we'll go to working with iframe. I skipped some of the section, go into other detail and features. So you're welcome, and you want to learn more about iframe. So learn more about iframes. Oh, in fact, I didn't do this part. Okay, loading iframe with JavaScript. Okay, so because what we have done previously, all we did was set up the target. We really did not do anything to the content other than using the hypertext link to different pages onto the iframe window. So we really didn't do too much with the content. Okay, it relied on whatever you have there. Okay, so as simple as that, set target. So now we want to be able to manipulate the data. Okay, everything the same. Oh, before we move on, let's double check. Anyone joined? No one else joined yet. Camera and the video is good. Let's check the YouTube recording, and still good. Uh-oh, but I think we lost the full screen mode. It happens again. Let me go back. I apologize, I didn't check that part. We lost the full screen mode. Let's go back and start the full screen mode again. But of course the YouTube recording has full screen, so don't worry about that. So you may need to use the YouTube recording instead, but I'll go over that. Let's go back to full screen mode first, because I don't know when did we lose the full screen mode. Okay, so I know we were on full screen mode when we describe the final. Okay, so I believe the problem with that is when I start Eclipse, it probably kicks us out. Seems like whenever you have new application running, the full screen mode may not work well. I think that was the problem. But either way, we can continue. As I said earlier, we are on chapter 5. Okay, we have explained what it means, iframe, and then we have go over the first example, setting a target. Okay, I cut paste those into Eclipse, and run it, other than changing the file name, after you run it, you will see the result here. And then with a window in window, and you can manipulate the data. That's what we did previously. The only thing we did was setting a target, just as explained in the book. We didn't manipulate the content, we only manipulate the target, making sure your output go into that iframe, just like we did. Normally the link go to a different page, but this one will go into the target iframe. That's all we did. That's what the book called setting a target. So we are going into the second section here to manipulate information within the iframe. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. So basically the same thing. You have the iframe defined within your HTML. You have the same link. Everything is the same. Except this time we will try to use the JavaScript to manipulate the data a little bit, the content. Okay? First, on initialization, instead of just setting up the target, we will call a function. When you click on the links, we change the on-click to a function called setContent. Okay? So by doing that, we find the content, which is the iframe, right? And then we change the document location, the X reference, the hypertext link, into the current link. Okay, it's a dummy. So basically, it set this hypertext link into the iframe content. Now, the effects. Let's take a look on the effects. Is the same. Okay, then why did we do that? You say, why did we do that? Everything is the same, just like the first one. Right, iframe 1, the same result. But the difference is, on iframe 2, we show you that we are able to use JavaScript to manipulate, okay, using DOM to manipulate the content of it. Previously, we just basically used the original hypertext link within HTML and link to the file and display on the target. But on this one, it is a little bit different. We use a different technique. We use the JavaScript technique, DOM. Okay, find the iframe, which is named by iContent or ID by iContent, and then you find the window for the iframe, and then set up the document location hypertext link to the current hypertext link, which is whatever defined here. And you stick it into the DOM, which means the same thing anyway, right? So that's why it displays the same thing. However, the actual process underneath is different. We are using JavaScript to manipulate the hypertext link of that iframe for the iframe window. Okay, but the effect is the same, but we are doing it in a different way. Okay, so try to understand that. Okay, that's what it is on this loading iframe with JavaScript. It's just showing you how to manipulate using the DOM method to manipulate the iframe by setting up the hypertext link. Okay, so that's loading iframe with JavaScript. Okay, so please read the book. Book has, I think the very good thing about this book is, if the example is good, it has a very good step-by-step explanation why they do that and what effect they have. and the best way to do it is load this onto your Eclipse or put it in any text file and run them simultaneously, and look at the description, then you understand what they mean. Okay, that's loading the iframe with JavaScript instead of using the hypertext link within the HTML. Okay, that's the only difference between these two examples. Okay, good. We continue to check. So everything is still working. No one else joined yet. So we're still in full screen mode. Recording. Okay. Let's go back. And we're still recording. That's good. Let's continue. So that's what it is. Show you two different ways which have the same result. One is using the hypertext link within HTML. The other one is using JavaScript to change the hypertext link for the iframe display. Okay. Let me see. Next, we'll look at more working with the iframe. So now we know we can address to the particular iframe using HTML, using JavaScript. So we want to do a little bit more with it, so we have better understanding what we could do for that iframe window display. Okay. So let's take a look on Eclipse. So you look at it, it's the same. I just changed the link to a different JavaScript and use the same CSS, so the display will be the same. Okay, now we have no define on those hypertext link. Okay, so we won't be confused. So we want to fully manipulate those links by JavaScript. Okay, we will fully manipulate those by JavaScript. So there's nothing there. Okay, so nothing in there. The content, it just show a dummy. So let's go ahead and show HTML. Yep. So everything is here. It's just a dummy. Nothing there. Okay. So it initially load a page. Okay, and have just one statement in there. Nothing else. Okay. Then what we have done here. You look at the third JavaScript function. Same thing on the init. We go over each of the link, 3 of them. Same routine, go for 3 of them. But this time we do a couple things, 2 things. First thing, same, just like the second JavaScript. On click on those links, we'll call a function called write content. So same as this. On click, you call a subroutine, a function. So on this iframe 3, third example in the book, you do the same thing. When they click the hypertext link on the original HTML, you will call a function called write content. Okay, and after that, you also set the variable this page to be i+1, which is the number. Okay, just a number. So it's just a number. From 0, 1, 2, we change it to 1, 2, and 3, just indicating which page we are displaying. Just show you the difference, that's all. So we set up a number first. Okay, just set up a number. Then what it does on the write content function is to set up instead of using a predefined HTML, which you could, just like on example 2, you can just call a different HTML page. We could dynamically write out the HTML information onto the iframe, because iframe is already Give me a second. I'm recording. Okay. Because iframe is just a window to display your HTML. So you could just output the HTML information onto that page to be displayed. So we set up basically an HTML tag, H1. So you are now looking at example, and we put the number, which is 1, 2, or 3. And basically this is just a hypertext statement, okay, combining H1 with the information, the dynamic number, and a period to end the statement, and then which is ending the H1. So it's just one HTML tag. So we form this particular new text to be an H1 tag statement within HTML using a dynamic number, okay, 1, 2, or 3, depending on the link 1, link 2, or link 3. After we set up this new content, we could then, using the same method we showed you last time in the example 2, okay, JavaScript. So we find that particular iframe first by the ID, iContent, and then look at the content and go through the DOM for that particular iframe window, which is just a normal window. And then you find the body. Within the body of this, you will set the HTML information to be the new text. So basically dump this particular H1 statement into the HTML content of that iframe window by using the DOM method. Okay, so let's take a look on the result since it already loaded. So now, when you link on the first one, instead of displaying the default pages I had previously, we now dynamically changing the content of that iframe by putting the HTML information in there. Okay, you can display specific images or any HTML information onto that iframe, just like any HTML, and it will be displayed within that target. Okay, we don't even have to set the target because we are using the DOM way, finding the iframe, and we are changing the content of that iframe just like an HTML dynamically. So we don't even have to set the target because we can use the DOM to find the target ourselves and then changing the information on the target dynamically. So just like we have, you are looking at example 2 or 1, so you can do 2 or 3 dynamically. Okay, it is a very simple example, but I think it's nice to show you how capable we are by using JavaScript to manipulate information within the iframe display. Okay, so frame itself is just like a document window. This is a frame by the old design, and this is just another frame, a frame within a frame. Okay, we call that iframe, internal frame. Of course, the overall frame is not used anymore because it is just same as a window. So window.document, that's this particular frame. But however, since we do want to manipulate a window within a window capability, so we define a iframe in HTML5, I think, to do that. Okay, and with that, because of the iframe is defined within the DOM, and we can find that content and manipulate the content by using JavaScript, just like any other HTML element within your original HTML file. So by itself, it's just an object. Each of them is an object within your HTML, and this is an additional child object which just happen to be a display window, a frame, iframe. And then you can manipulate the data by finding the iframe first. After you find the iframe, which is the window you want to manipulate, then you use the normal DOM to find the target inside the iframe and change the content dynamically. So that's how handy and how simple it is. By a statement, a combination statement, you could manipulate your iframe window within your document, and you could have multiple iframe window, and by setting up different ID, you can address them individually and change the content according to what you designed it for. So very handy and useful, particularly for your dynamic website. So you can do a lot more. Of course, in this case, you can do a text area and we'll do the same thing. But imagine you want to put a lot more, because by itself is a full HTML file. Okay, by itself it is. So you can do a lot more to it. Okay, so this is how useful it is. Okay, or originally you can, just like before, we can load up. Let's refresh. Load up your iframe initially with a default HTML file you defined with pictures, images, imagine anything you could in there, a form even. And then dynamically you can use your JavaScript to find the iframe, then using DOM to find the content, the text within that iframe HTML, and then change them. So you can not just manipulate this. In addition, you can also manipulate anything within that iframe window using DOM method. It's just like another window, but they display on your single page instead of multiple pages. So very handy and dynamic, particularly when user is entering multiple information and or pull in data from different websites. Using this way will show you and show them the capability you have to pull the information on a single display instead of switching to different pages. So think about different application, you can use that. Okay, that is iframe. So just go over it again. As we said, the first example shows you how to set the target, changing the link to target to the iframe. Second one, instead of setting up the target, we're actually using JavaScript. Okay, to manipulate the link. This is the first example. You use JavaScript to manipulate the link, so link to the same pages. So the effect is the same, except this one using JavaScript to do that. And the third one really show you our capability to manipulate individual item within the iframe content. So you can go in, set up the iframe links, and when you click, the links, and when you click, it will dynamically changing the content of the iframe dynamically. Okay, so that's 3 examples. It's a simple way for you to understand the iframe, how to set target, and how to manipulate individual item within that iframe window. So pretty easy, straightforward. Of course, it is too simple. You want to do a lot more, so you could. Okay, just using the same way, add a few more statements in here. You can incorporate images, okay, and other HTML information, any tag within that window. Okay, so it is very powerful. Basically, you can manipulate this as a individual, independent HTML file. but you do have to go through this a little more complicated addressing to the iframe window in order to manipulate the elements. That's all. Other than that, it is quite straightforward and easy to understand. No difference than manipulate a HTML file, as long as you know how to address to the iframe window. Okay, that's all I need to show you on iframe. As I said, it is important for you to read the book, at least look at the 3 from the beginning until working with iframe. Okay, you can try to understand that section too, but it's not as critical. I think to understand the iframe, those 3 sections is pretty simple and straightforward. Cut paste example, run it yourself and try to change them, and you will see the effect. Particular after you understand the iframe how it works, this particular section working with iframe is nice. You can just enhance the JavaScript they have, okay, and change it dynamically any way you want it, okay, and then see the effect on a window like that. It's nice. Okay, that's it for this particular section. Let's go back and make sure we are still recording properly before we continue on. We are still in full screen mode and no one else joined yet. The camera and the speaker are looking good, and the YouTube recording is still running. So the only glitch we have was earlier we lost the full screen mode for a few minutes, but I don't think we covered that much there. So I went back to describe one more time, so I think we will be fine. Or you will just need to review this lecture in YouTube, and you should not miss anything because it will record the whole screen anyway. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now we are done with iframe. Okay, as we promised, iframe is the first one with the top. There are different links to those, but the links doesn't seem to be linked to the proper topic. It talked about browser events, which we did last time, so there's no need to go over that. But if you want, yeah, go over to those. We talk about events, the click events, the mouse events. We already talked about last time. Not really, nothing to do with windows or pop-ups or iframes. Okay, so it's just event handler. But those are nice websites, though. Don't get me wrong. Okay, but just not the right topic. So go ahead and review those if you have time. If you don't think you have learned enough about those event handler, so go do that. Also, on same thing, okay, you can go over the JavaScript slideshow. I think that's not particularly good, but the other one, this one is good. I want to, if you still have issue with event handling, you know, go through, read some of those and understand each of the topics, okay, and understand the mouse, okay, and the events. Okay, so go do that. So links are in there, so go ahead and review those links as needed, and they are all within the module. But as I said before, we already went through the events and then the slideshow, so we don't have to go over those too. Okay, so the last thing we have is about window. It's not a lot we need to talk about in Windows. Actually, everything is good first before we do that. Okay. So we are not going to go over detail of the window. Please continue reading those sections. Very dynamic iframes, which is nice, more advanced. So go ahead and read through those. If you want to know more about iframe and how to use it and incorporate into your page, then go ahead and read those sections and try those out. Okay, that's nice. But the last thing we want to talk about is pop-up window. I think some of you did that before. Quite simple. Basically, you want to open up another window, a pop-up, which you know happens all the time, right? In any website. So I didn't cut paste the program because they are quite simple. There's no need to do that. The effect is quite straightforward. It basically just pop up a window. Okay, so just take a look on these examples, then we should be okay. So you have a simple HTML file. Okay, and then you set up a hypertext link, and when you click on this is the cat's name, Pixel. When you click on it, okay, then it'll open up another window, a pop-up. Okay, set up the names. So within your JavaScript, do the same thing. Okay, set up all the links. In this case, I think there's only one. So basically, set up the link. Okay, and find that link called new window. So in case you have multiple links within your window, you find the one is new window, then you set up the on click to call a new window. Okay, that's what we want to look at this statement. So there's nothing more than one statement in there in this. All it does is set up a variable, but you don't really have to have it. You do a window.open of the image that you want to open on it, and then the name of the window called catwin. In case you need to address to this window again, then the window name is called catwin. And then you set up other parameter, optional parameters. That's all. Okay, so the effect is when you click on that link, when you click on that name, Pixel, it will pop up a window and display the cat's picture, the JPEG picture. And the window name is called catwin. So in case you need to address using your JavaScript to address to that window, you have the name of that window. This is not the iframe. This is an independent pop-up, and you can see there's a title, there is a picture. So it's an individual pop-up window, not a window within a window. Okay, so you can move this window aside or just close it by yourself. So a totally new window, not an iframe. Iframe is a window within your window. Okay, attached to it. Okay, together. You cannot just close it. Okay, but this window is a pop-up, a new window, when you click on that pixel, based on the window open function. Okay, so all you have to do is set up the hypertext link to whatever you want to display, which is a picture in this case, and set up the size as needed, and then you will have this effect, a pop-up window. As simple as that. Okay, of course you can do a lot more for Windows, but that's a little bit more in depth. So we are not going over in this class, but at least it shows you a way to pop up new windows if you need. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so I think, let me see, did I miss anything? I think that's how it is. Now, I remember now that I was going to say something about this new window. One time I think Maria, on one of the assignment, you used the window.open to open up a new window to display the movie list, I think. But at the end I told her she doesn't need to, because the requirement really to display the movie list on a separate text area within the same page. So no need to open a new window. But she did raise a question to me about how to get her movie list transferred to a new window within JavaScript. And you cannot just do that by setting up global variable within the JavaScript, because every time when you load up a new window, you initialize the JavaScript again to include, even you include the same JavaScript, but because it's a new window, the JavaScript start over again. So whatever initialized or modified in your original page will not be transferred into the new window, because the JavaScript start again, everything resets. So the way to do that is using the section storage. Okay, so I don't know the book has this, but if you go to internet and search for section storage, okay, in JavaScript, and you will find information on it. So what it does is, before you open up a new window in your JavaScript, you add in a statement creating a variable, okay, and save your information onto that variable, section storage variable. Once you do, then you go on to, okay, call the window open function. After that, in the new, you can continue on the JavaScript, and then you can use section storage and the variable again within your JavaScript. The reason is the section storage store the information within the same section. Because you are still running on the same section, so it will be passed on to the new window to use it. So that's the thing I want to point out. I'm not going to show you the detail here, but if you need to pass information, excuse me, my allergy. Let me get some water first. So if you want to pass your information from one to another window, that's what you need to do. Store the data into section storage first, then go to the new window and use them and get it back. They're just like variable, okay, but they're stored within the section storage when you're still running the same section. That's all. So that's something you need to learn. If you are going to open up a new window and you want to transfer some information from one section to the other, then that's the technique that you can use. Go do a research, a Google on section storage in JavaScript, then you'll find it. Okay, maybe this I should do. Everything's still working. Okay, good. So let's go ahead. Excuse me. Section storage, JavaScript. Okay. Section storage, JavaScript. So you can learn a little bit about how to do that, or local storage. Either way will work. Okay, so you just create the variable. Okay, section storage. Okay, so please, if you need to learn about how to pass information between those when you open up a new window, that's the technique you can use. Okay, so I think that's what I replied to Maria on that too. Let me see. That's all I need to cover today. This is the last topic, window open, and also a technique for you to pass information to another JavaScript within the same session, okay, by using session storage or internal or local storage. Either way will work. Okay, so please take a look, go Google and take a look on those examples so you can understand how to do that. Okay, we are not going to take a break today since it's the last lecture. I don't expect we'll go long, so I'll spend the next few minutes to wrap up this class. But yet this is all the material we have covered so far. Let me get water and then I'll continue on with this. Okay, let's continue for a few more minutes. That's it. So everything's still working. Then let's continue. So let's go back. You already reviewed the calendar, there's no need to. So the module, don't forget, if you have not done it, do the course survey. Otherwise you are not going to be able to view the final result. So make sure you click on this course survey and finish it. So basically for this class we have went over the basic programming, HTML, CSS, and running simple JavaScript. Then we learn about operators, arrays, and loops. And then we learn about conditions, conditionals, okay, if else, switches, and some style, and manipulating the style using DOM, okay, document object model, that you should have some knowledge already. So we learn how to find the individual elements within the DOM using JavaScript. Then we start to manipulate the forms, the events, and using JavaScript to do dynamic content. And you have done few exercise, simple exercise, assignments for those. So, but the concept is there, it's quite straightforward. And last thing we have done the last 2 weeks on the rollover effect, slideshows, and we have done today the pop-ups window using window.open, and then we went through the iframe. We didn't do jQuery. Okay, there's no exercise for that either. But go ahead and read it if you want to learn. It basically is a JavaScript library. Okay, some handy functions that you can use. Okay, so take a look on jQuery. Now you have enough knowledge of JavaScript, so you should be able to understand jQuery yourself. Okay, but there's no material here to cover jQuery. Okay, so you got to go on internet and take a look on and find it. The only thing reference you have, I believe, is here. Yep. Okay, so the only reference from this session is to read those. However, chapter 4, 5, and 6 do not include iQuery. Do not include. Okay. Even though jQuery is say included, but the only thing you have is the link. So you want to learn something about it, I think it's a nice thing, and go ahead and read it, and look through some of the tutorials from external website. With that said, that will conclude everything we have for this class. Yep. Okay. So I want to thank you again for everyone joining this class, but don't forget, you still have a couple assignments left. I think only one person completed everything. Other than that, you still have a couple assignments left, need to be done. Okay, so before I can give you the final grade, so don't be late. By tomorrow you gotta have everything. Okay, with that said, thanks again, and I hope I'll see you again in the near future. But thanks for joining this class. And in the survey, don't forget about that. In the survey, make sure you provide us input, as much input as possible. I did learn a lot since it's the first time I do branded class, a recording class. So I think the first couple lecture I wasn't sure how to do that, and I review the recorded lecture and I think change a little bit the way I present it. So I hope that helped. If you have any input, comments on the way the class was provided and the way I lectured, please provide in the course survey. Okay, so we can improve upon. Okay, that's it. Thanks for joining. I'm closing out this, and I hope you will complete your assignment on time. So good luck on your other classes since this is the final week. Okay, thanks. I will stop this recording now. Bye. Okay, now I'm closing out the YouTube recording.